So the first step is to cut out the side pieces that I'll be needing, and I'm using a chop saw. I wanted to show that this project is accessible for anyone, even if you don't have a full shop. You don't have to have a table saw to make this project work. Now it does make it easier, but a chop saw will work just great. So the first thing I did is rough cut the pieces down to length, and then here you see me cutting the pieces to the proper width. The exact dimensions will be listed at the end of this video, but approximately the cabinet will be 3 feet tall and 18 inches wide. I made the side rails all about 2.5 inches deep. The next step is to cut out all the shelf pieces. I was cutting them 2 or 3 at a time. It worked pretty well. All of these were actually old drawer sides that I found, so I cut them all to the proper length. Next step was to cut all of the side rails, cut the bevel in all the side rails. I wanted to put them together on 45, so you're basically just making a picture frame, but it's deeper, so you're essentially making a shadow box, I should say. After cutting the bevels, it was time to mark the 2 sides where I was going to be cutting the dados into where the shelves are going to fit into eventually. So all of the shelves are spaced 2.5 inches apart, and there is 11 shelves total. I left the bottom shelf extra large so that any larger pieces could be stored down there, or if you had a bigger Lego set that was a little bit taller than a typical minifigure, then you could pour them on that shelf. And the very top shelf was actually too short to fit any Lego minifigures. I did that on purpose, again, for storage for maybe some smaller items that you just don't want on the shelf. So here I am cutting out the dados. I do not have a dado stack on this table saw. However, it's still possible to do. So again, you don't have to have a full-fledged shop with all the tools. A basic set of tools, you can get this done. You could do this with a chop saw as well. It would take longer, but it's the same idea. You just have to make multiple passes if you don't have the dado stack. So after all the pieces were cut out, I took them out and painted them just a matte black. And this is me dry fitting them to make sure they're all going to fit. And you can see a little bit better shot of the bigger bottom shelf. So here's a close-up of the glue-up process. I just squirt a little glue into each slot. I had this foam brush that I used to spread the glue around and make sure it was covering everything evenly. And I would also put a little bit of glue on the sides of the shelves. Then it was just repeat that multiple times till all the shelves were in. When all the shelves were in with the glue, I had a strap clamp around the perimeter of the cabinet, and then I had 4 bar clamps. So while that glue was drying, I decided to cut out the front face frame. I had thought about doing a glass door on a hinge, and it just turned out to be more work than I felt was worth it. And the person that I was making this for wanted easy access to all of their Lego figures. It's not a collection that they never touch, so they wanted easy access. So I got this trim from the big box store with the design already cut into it, so I didn't have to do any of that. I was just cutting it down to length and painting. My wife helped me with this process of painting. Again, this is a flat black paint, the same paint as the rest of the cabinet. I took 2 coats just to make sure that everything got painted. The wood absorbs a lot of the paint, so it takes more paint than you might think, but it's still not terrible. Now for the back, I was going to use a piece of plywood, and everything at the store just was too thick. It just wasn't quite right for what I wanted, or it was just more money than I was willing to spend on a piece that's just on the back. And then I came across this chalkboard and whiteboard double-sided sheet. So I just hammered that on. The other beautiful part about that was the chalkboard side was already painted black, so I put that towards the inside of the cabinet, and that saved me a lot of work. And here's a shot with the frame sitting on there as a dry fit, and then started that glue up process as well. And I ended up, more than just gluing those, I ended up putting some nails in as well, so that made it stronger. So the front face frame was glue and clamp around all 4 sides. So the finishing touches here is this Lego tape. It's got a sticky back. You can buy this. I found this on Amazon. It was a 4-pack. It came in gray and black. And so I cut them all to length, stuck one on each shelf except for the very bottom shelf and the very top shelf. So here's a few closer up shots. It's made out of silicone, so it's really easy to cut. I just cut it with a pair of tin snips. And this is a really easy, fast project. Anyone could do it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. And stay tuned for more projects to come.